Hello.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the pod. Hope you're doing well.
Welcome back to Tough Love Fall with Jess and Jill.
Apparently you guys just need a little kick in the butt this fall and
Oh
we're happy
man,
to provide.
it is the season of tough love around here. And it's funny because I feel like we were just talking about it. Like everybody needs a little bit of tough love these days. Like the last month, maybe I've just been having people that just need it, or even the questions we've been getting in our DMs, which is where we're going to start today. It's like y'all just need some tough love. And you know what? We're here for it. We'll
I
give it
think
to you.
it comes with the season change too. Like I think maintaining habits across seasons gets hard, and we, especially in a Canadian winter, I think we all tend to get pretty in our heads of like how bad winter's gonna be, and then we're just like, oh my god, I'm not gonna get to do anything. So sometimes we just need that reminder of like, you'll be fine, go outside, go for a walk, you'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, really, we survived whole seasons of not being allowed to do things. So, like if we can do that, we can do anything.
Yeah.
Literally.
Before we get into, we had another question over on Instagram, which we love when you guys send us your little thoughts, feelings, questions. Because I think, I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure you're in a similar boat. I feel like it makes me feel like I'm like speaking directly to a person when we do a podcast then versus just like speaking into the abyss.
Honestly, this makes podcasting so easy for us, you guys. If you send us a question, like a specific question that we can just answer and talk about, first of all, you're helping yourself because you're getting free coaching, which I can't emphasize that enough. But you know what? If you have a question, somebody else probably has the same one. And it makes it really easy for us to just have a dialogue about it because we don't have to be like, hey, what do you want to talk about this week? Which is something we usually do when we log into the call.
Yeah, I think it's nice to know it's like helping, like specifically helping someone. I know you guys like all the podcast episodes, or most of them, but to feel like we're actually specifically helping someone. And I also thank you guys for taking advantage of us giving you a free space for coaching. Like I take full advantage of the fact that we will spend 20, 30, 40 minutes working through your situation and helping you figure it out on the podcast for free.
And like literally help us help you, right? Yeah. It's a win-win situation. Do you have a win for the week? Speaking of winning.
I do have a win, and it's the fact that I finally got my laptop back. I think I've shared most of my laptop saga on the pod, but long story short, it went from a 2-day $0 repair to getting a phone call from Apple every like 3 days with an increase in price and also a new problem for my laptop. We almost had to boycott Apple as an entire company because last week when we're recording the podcast, so it would have been a couple weeks ago now, they called me and said it was going to be $1,600 to fix my laptop. And I said, excuse me, that is quite literally more than I paid for my laptop brand new. And then they called me the next day. I told them to not do it. I was like, just give it back to me. Just let it be broken. It's fine. Then they called me the next day and they were like, we're so sorry. We messed up. That was the wrong quote. The technicians were like not right about what they were saying. And don't get me wrong, I'm still annoyed with Apple because it took them 3 weeks to fix my laptop. But I think it says a lot about a company and people that can be like, hey, we fucked up. So sorry. Here's the solution versus pretending that I feel like a lot of people pretend they didn't mess up anymore. So then she changed that quote to $600, which is still a lot of money, but at least that's like a reasonable amount of money to be spending on a laptop. It's not more than the cost of my laptop. Mm-hmm. And to compensate that, every new part, they put like 1 billion new parts into my laptop and the entire issue was moisture in my trackpad. Like that should have taken 1 second to fix, but they missed it somehow. So every single new part that they put into my laptop, they kept in, but only charged me for the pieces that actually fixed it. So I basically have a brand new, like completely rebuilt laptop. Like my screen is new, my keyboard is new, all my casing is new. honestly, if I was Apple, I would have just thrown my laptop in the garbage and given me a new one. Probably would have saved them time and money. But yeah, my win is finally getting my laptop back and not having to spend $1,600 to do so.
Yeah, technology, hey. It's, I mean, a win and a loss though, because as I know, and I don't know if the rest of the world knows, but somehow in this Jill stickers, and
R.I.P.
if you know either of us, you know how important stickers are. Like, let me just show you my emotional support water bottle YouTube. I just got a new sticker yesterday, actually. This should be my win, but it's not. And it says I heart après, as in like après ski. And I'm so stoked about this sticker.
Stickers are just like a little piece that like makes my heart happy. And she gave me my laptop back, and then I walked out of Apple and I was like, where'd my stickers go? And I had my hopes up because I'm like, oh, they're not giving me a new laptop, which in my brain meant my stickers will still be on it. But that was one of the new pieces they replaced, was like my outer casing.
Right.
But like, I really thought since I wasn't getting a new laptop, I would still get my stickers. That was not the case. So we had a little moment to be sad about it, but it's back. It's functioning. My camera quality, if you're watching on YouTube, is like night and day from last week. It doesn't look like I'm filming on a calculator. My keyboard is like nice and like clickety clackety as they are when they're new.
Do calculators do that?
So like it's a win, but also I was this close to boycotting Apple. Like when they called me and said it was going to be $1,600, I was looking at Chromebooks. I was like, well, we're done with Apple then.
Except that like you can't, because you're still going to have an iPhone, because who doesn't use an iPhone? And like, and I've always said, like, I mean, I have a Chromebook, and that's because my partner used to work for a very prestigious PC company, and he's like, I don't work on Apples. And I was like, okay. And he's like, if you ever need anything like totally rebuilt, like I can do it on a Chromebook. Plus I use Google, the Google platform for everything. And he's like, it's optimized for Google. Like a Chromebook is optimized for Google. And he's like, I was like, the only thing I don't like about a Chromebook, and I'm sorry, Chromebook, I love you, please don't ever hurt me, but I don't like that I can't talk to my phone, right? So I don't get my texts. The pictures are like, I have to go through Google Photos. I don't have like the notes app. So like when I have ideas for posts and things like that, like you guys have no idea the business background side of what we do, how much is like on our phones, and how easy it would be if everything was just syncing back and forth in this beautiful cloud world. But it is a nice computer. I mean, I do like my Chromebook, but there's some things that I wish it could do. But anyway,
and I was ready to boycott all of it.
She was just ready to throw it.
I was ready to make the change and buy my first ever not Apple product in like probably 10 years, because I was actually so annoyed when they called me and said it was going to be $1,600. Like I was like, how am I going to spend $1,200 on this laptop? It originally, and then it's only going to work for 2 years, and then you're going to ask me to pay more than the value of my laptop to fix it. So I told the lady from Apple all of this. Like I was like, I was out, and she was like, I don't blame you. Like, we're so sorry that happened. So at least the error was corrected and compensated. But I was still like, okay, cool. 3 weeks later, you guys finally figured out how to fix my laptop.
Honestly, technology is a pyramid scheme. Yeah. You heard it here first. Whether it's like needing to upgrade things, or like, you put your best stickers on your laptop only to have your laptop for only like a few years. Like your phone, like I was like, oh man, it's been like a few years since I upgraded my phone. Guess I'm going to have to do that soon, because probably going to shit the bed.
And especially with Apple products, I swear.
They just stop working at a certain point.
They don't
have battery anymore, or like all of a sudden it's super slow, and they're like, oh, it's because you need a new one. And it's like, really? Like, okay, fine.
So I was ready to throw hands with Apple. I was ready to boycott the whole thing and ruin my nice integrated system I have. But I'm glad to have my laptop back. We're sad about the stickers, but it means I get to go travel and collect more, I guess. Now I just got it. The cherry on top was when I picked it up, because they had to change the pricing, obviously, because of all the parts I wasn't paying for. And the lady tried to act like she was saving me money. Like she's like, well, like here's your total for the laptop, but with all the new parts in it, we saved you like $1,000. And I was like, to be clear, you guys aren't saving me any money. Like I'm paying you $600. That's what's happening.
They tried to girl math you.
Yeah. And I literally got so annoyed with her. Like I actually had to be like, I would like to stop talking about this and just pay my bill and leave, please.
If
and
you
she was
don't,
like, oh, okay.
If you don't know what girl math is, there's a trend on TikTok right now of people explaining what girl math is. So it's basically like, well, if I returned a sweater that I bought and I get $50, that $50 is free money.
Yeah.
So now I have $50 to spend. It's
But,
basically
like,
things like that where you justify
The
numbers.
lady at Apple didn't understand that it doesn't work when you guys are the reason there's $1,000 worth of extra parts in my laptop. Like I didn't ask you to do that. You guys just couldn't do your jobs properly. So I literally had to be like, because I could feel myself getting angry because they tried to get me to pay more when I walked in too. So I could feel myself getting angry. And I literally had to look at her and be like, I would like to stop talking about this and just pay my bill, please. And she was like, oh, okay. I was like, great, bye.
Like, it's not you. You're just the person taking the payment. But also,
and I don't really want to yell at you right now, so I'm just gonna go. But yeah, long-winded rant. But we have a laptop, and
a roundabout win.
Fingers are crossed for it to last me longer than 2 years.
My win happened this morning, and it wasn't even going to be my win, but I think it is, and it really ties into what we're going to talk about today. And that is that. So backstory. Monday, I did heavy deadlifts, and I really pushed myself because I wanted to see where I was really at, because I'm starting sort of a strength rebuild after running all summer. And, I've had this patellofemoral syndrome, my knee. So I'm like, I just got to get strong again. That's all there is to it. And then yesterday I was going to run, but it was smoky. So I ran on the treadmill. So like not ideal. But last night I could feel my lower back tightening up from the deadlifts and, the running and whatever. And so I was like, okay, probably gonna take it easy Wednesday. I'm supposed to race cyclocross tonight. So probably just walk on the treadmill for podcasting and whatever. And this morning I was like, man, my back is so tight. And I kind of go back and forth between these two types of bagels that I like. One of them is like significantly less like thick. So it's like less calories. It's just because gluten-free bagels, I only like a couple kinds and whatever. So, and I was going to grab one of the like skinny ones because I was like, oh man, I'm not really doing much today. So I'll probably eat a little bit less. And I was like, you stop that. That is your old, gross diet culture mindset creeping in, and that you're having an easy day. So you should eat less. And I was like, no, your body needs to heal. You need fuel. You need more carbs and you need more protein at breakfast today. So I actually had to sort of convince myself that eating more was going to be better in the current day and what I needed to do to make myself feel better. And I just want to say, like, it was a huge like mindset win, because normally I would have just had a little bit less, but it also just goes to show you how easy it is for old habits or old mindsets, old narratives to just come back. And you're like, whoa, who are you? That's not how we are. That's not what we do. And you just have to say to yourself, like, listen,
we don't do that anymore.
We eat. When we're sore, we eat. Right? And when we're recovering, we eat.
Especially with like consistently training, you don't realize, or it takes a long time to realize, like, if you eat less that day, you're going to be extra hungry the next day. And that's what always gets me, is I can always tell that I didn't eat enough the day before the next day, because I'm like ravenous. So it's not like it's an isolated within that 24 hours. Does that make sense? Like you eating less that day is going to carry over to the next day, and then you're going to be frustrated that you're like overeating the following day.
Everything is connected. Your fuel from days ago will impact how you feel later in the week. This is why when you start off on Monday and you're like, I'm just going to have I'm going to eat so healthy this week. I'm going to have salads and protein. And you get into that deprivation. By Friday, you are not able to keep your hand out of the pantry. That's why that happens. It is a perpetual cycle. And then you're like, I'll just start over on Monday. And then you just repeat it for months and
Or
months.
you're eating like an entire large pizza to yourself on Friday night because you didn't properly eat all week.
So anyways, big mindset win for me. And segue question of the week from the DMs was, how do you convince yourself you need to eat when your body's not having it? I'm not sick. Not pregnant, just couldn't convince myself any food was good. It was an off day. And I know that happens, but is there any way to combat it? I hate how I feel when I don't eat. I responded to this initially and I said, I think we all feel like that sometimes. Sometimes I'll just make a smoothie if I don't feel like doing the chewing. You can pack a ton of nutrients in there. That way you know you're getting what your body needs, even if you're like, oh, the idea of a meal or sitting down for a meal is just like not it. Or even if you are sick, a smoothie is a great way to keep up that nutrition when you don't feel like cooking or when you're not sure like what your stomach's going to do. And then I said that we would talk about it on the pod, and I'm sure that Jill has some great nutrition tips to share too. And I just gave you one of my things that I didn't even think about when I initially had this conversation and when I was thinking about what I was going to say on the pod. And that was, sometimes you just need to give yourself some tough love and be like, wait a minute. We don't restrict ourselves, especially when I'm feeling not the greatest. My hip is acting up. My muscles need fuel. They do not need to be deprived of anything else right now.
I will add, just because I do know the person that sent in the comment. She's one of my clients. ADHD is also going to play a role in your hunger. So for any of my ADHD girlies, one of the most common things is we just don't perceive hunger or like timing the same way as neurotypical brains. So I find for myself, and I know this is a case for a lot of my ADHD clients too, is the day just gets away from us really quick because we don't have the same perception of time. And that's not going to make any sense to like neurotypical brains, but like
I bet it makes sense to moms.
You can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but like me and Wynn probably have the same perception of like timing. Like
she's always hungry. So that's,
like you can take it and time out 10 minutes in your head ish, give or take. It might not be exact, but you like, you know what 10 minutes feels like. Toddlers and also neurodivergent brains have no perception of what 10 minutes feels like. It's also why we tend to be late for things, or early, because we're just like, I have no idea how long anything actually takes me. On the nutrition side of things, the day can get away from you really quick because you're like, oh, I'll eat in 20 minutes. And then you hyper focus and look up and it's been 2 hours and you're like, great, I haven't eaten anything. On top of that too, if you are ADHD or you take any sort of medications can suppress hunger a lot too. Like when I take my ADHD meds, I could literally not eat for the whole day. Like I'd never get hungry. I don't use my ADHD meds daily, so that's not really an issue. But if you are somebody who's medicated daily for whatever reason, check in with yourself if those medications impact hunger, because that might be part of the issue too.
Yeah. And one thing, like I can say that like moms, we lose track of time, right? Luckily, when you have like a toddler, you're kind of like tied to timings, right? Like it's like we wake up at 7, we have breakfast by 8, then we have snack at 10, then we have lunch at 11:30, then we go to nap at 12, she gets up at 2, and like we keep going. So I think my body clock is kind of timed to that. But one thing that we talk about in my nutrition coaching is sometimes eating to a clock doesn't work, right? So sometimes if you're hungry at 11:30, but you're like, oh, but lunch is until 12, you can eat at a different time. Like giving yourself permission to do that is very helpful. The other thing is if you're the person who loses track of time, setting alarms on your phone or having Post-it notes, being like, did you have a snack today? Or like, like it's noon, we should be thinking about lunch. Or like it's 11:45, we should be thinking about what we're going to make for lunch so we don't get to 12:30 and we're starving. And then we end up eating everything in the pantry because we didn't plan a lunch. So little reminders like that can help. But I think sometimes if it's just like, I don't feel like eating, you need to have things that are easy to do. Like a smoothie, you can put it together in a couple minutes. You can even have like, I think there's like little, you can even buy things that you throw into the blender. You don't have to think about it. I've never tried that because I think making a smoothie is sort of a super easy thing for me anyways. But you can always have like veggies pre-cut up in your fridge. You can always have like those pepperoni sticks so that when you're standing in front of the fridge wondering what you're going to eat for lunch, I usually have like a pepperoni stick and like a cheese because I'm standing there and I'm like, well, at least I'm getting protein and fat at the same time before I decide what I'm going to eat. And maybe even a little bit of like tough love in there. Going back to our theme of the fall is like, you can tell yourself, hey, I know you don't feel like making something, you don't feel like eating it, but later you is going to appreciate this.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing I've been talking to clients and just like myself about lately too, is getting out of your own head. Like stop thinking about that instant gratification or what current you wants. And that's a big thing that I use in my own personal toolbox too, is just being like, okay, forget about current you. She's obviously in some sort of mood right now. Let's forget about her for a second. And what is 2 hours from now you can want? What is 2 weeks from now you gonna want? You can kind of tailor that to whatever you're struggling with. For the gym, it's like, okay, tomorrow you is going to be glad you went. So like get up and go. Nutrition wise, 2 hour you is going to be thankful you ate something. So you're not eating an entire bag of chips in 2 hours. So getting out of your own head can be really helpful too. And just being like, I don't actually care what current me wants, because obviously she's having her own day. So just like setting that to the side and being like, what do we need to do for future me?
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know what, this sort of mindset shift can be applied to exercise as well. I've had a few conversations with some new or potentially new clients this week about feeling like, they're like, well, you coach athletes and runners, and I'm not either one of those things. Is this like going to be a good fit? And I'm like, listen, I coach busy people. I don't necessarily coach runners or athletes. Yes, I do have some, but honestly, they're not the majority. And one person actually said, I feel like maybe I'm not like, what was the wording that they used? I feel like maybe I'm not enough work for you or something like that. Like it was like, I was like, what? Hang on, I have to find it because I feel like it was very relevant. Oh, just need some perspective on if I'm a good candidate for coaching. I feel like I don't do enough for you to coach. What?
That's like the number one reason you should hire a coach, because that means we got a lot of habits to build.
I was like, and luckily this is somebody who I already have a relationship with, but I was like, what? Listen, this is such a mom thing to say, is that I don't feel like I'm doing you any favors. No, actually, you are perfect for needing a routine, right? You deserve a routine. You deserve to be fueled well, and you deserve to have great workouts or great coaching. I don't care who you are deserving of all of those things. You deserve to take care of yourself for yourself. I actually kind of shifted. That just reminded me of a big mindset shift, is like, you know how you see all these narratives of people being like, I want to get healthy for my kids. I hate that. You need to be healthy for you before you can be healthy for anybody else. It's kind of like that whole love yourself before you can love other people thing. We're going into like tough love, like we're diving in. YouTube just got a big, my hand is huge. Yeah, like you are absolutely deserving of the nutrition that you think is too far-fetched or too, what am I trying to say? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you deserve. I feel like, especially now, we see everyone with all these routines and habits and things like that. And we're either like, that couldn't be me, or I don't need that, or whatever. But
well, I don't know what just happened there. We might be frozen for a second. I'm going to stop the recording.